Greetings. Another one today. Um, this time I want to talk about specialization and how I do not approve of it. I don't approve of it in the sense of your specialization being your limitation. What does that mean? Let's say you're specialized at any field. You're an engineer, for example. Whenever you tell people, for me as an engineering major, that, oh, if I go for a second degree, I won't go for anything engineering related. I would go for something else, like philosophy or maybe anthropology, psychology, just other fields that I'm interested in, I want to expand upon and maybe major in, right? They look at me all weird. They're like, what? Why would that help you, right? That wouldn't do anything. This will not progress your career, right? And I'm like, yeah, but that is a topic I'm interested in and would love to specialize further in. I'm already, in loose quotation marks, specialized in my engineering major. Might as well expand and maybe learn something that I can add from other fields to this engineering field. If anything, I think engineering misses a lot of the human factor, right? So why not? And still, people look at me weird. You're gonna waste 5 years of your life on this other thing. Why not just specialize and get a master's degree in engineering, for example, or continue your studies, or even work more on your whatever specialization you have within your civil engineering curriculum. And I find that weird. Why is expanding your knowledge in fields that you are interested in a professional manner, like getting a major, considered like taboo or unorthodox, right? To me, it's weird. Why wouldn't an engineer benefit from a philosophy degree? I think they would, right? And that's what brings me to the point and the title of this video: specialization versus limitation. And I think that's what people miss. There's a difference between being specialized in a field and being limited by a field. And the difference is that one is specialized but is willing to expand their knowledge in every other field possible, while the other is stuck within this safe zone, which is what they already know to be good, they're good at, and they stick with that. This does not particularly have to be about jobs or professions. They can be about hobbies too. Let's say somebody's into a particular card game. Let's say Magic the Gathering, right? Somebody is only played Magic the Gathering for 20 years. And when you tell them, well, how about this other card game? Maybe you'll have fun. Maybe it's a fresh take. How about you play that? And they'll be like, no, I only play Magic. Why? Because I'm specialized, right? That they don't say it, but that's what they mean. I'm specialized in Magic. Why would I waste my time on any other card game when I can focus on Magic? Same for Counter-Strike for video games. I played Counter-Strike all my life. I want to stick to Counter-Strike because that's what I'm good at. Drawing as a hobby. How about you try painting? No, I'm just a sketch guy. I specialize in sketching. So why would I go to painting where I'm not very comfortable? And the reason is simple: do not limit yourself, right? Limiting yourself, mainly what it does is it stagnates, right? It stagnates your psyche. You're stuck in this one thing, and anytime you're exposed to any other thing, you are in trouble. You don't know what to do. You feel inadequate, and therefore you're rejected even further. And the fact that you hate being bad at something, i.e. being inadequate, makes you just so rigid whenever you're exposed to a new activity or a new hobby or a new way of doing things. And even when you're exposed to that new way of doing things, you're not particularly interested in being good at it. I'll do this on the side, maybe just laugh, entertain myself with it, and then I ignore it right away. And that's bad, as far as I'm concerned. The reason for this is specialization is great, limitation is not. Limiting yourself to one field, one way of doing things, one hobby, one whatever, it's just wasting your potential. You could be good at many things while being extra good at this one thing you're specialized at. Why not do that, right? Why not expand your abilities and maybe incorporate those new abilities into what you're specialized at, which is what my example when I said engineer philosophy can benefit engineering. I took management course as an engineer, a civil engineer, and you look at the workers, right? And you look at the workers as like a number. They're a number. They produce this much. They may be late. They're a kind of an unpredictable factor, and you do A, B, C, and D with them. And I have an anthropologist as a friend, or somebody who's going for an anthropology major, right? And I told him how we do things in management, and he's like, "Well, wouldn't you guys benefit more if you understood the culture of the people you're working with, and therefore find ways to motivate them and produce more, or or make them like more willing to do the work, especially in Kuwait, where like you don't have the highest work ethic, right? So wouldn't you benefit from understanding how the workforce thinks, how the culture is done? Wouldn't you benefit from having an anthropology perspective on things, so you know how to deal with them, and more importantly how to communicate with them as a top layer guy versus a low layer guy?" And I'm like, yes, we would. In fact, that's an interesting topic. Why not do it? Or think about it at least. Or introduce it, right? In order to do that, you need a double major in engineering and in anthropology. That's how you get the credibility, right? But you tell somebody about this and they're like, right? Wouldn't it be better if you just get a master's in management instead of getting anthropology major? And nothing else, and they wouldn't be wrong, objectively speaking. If we're going to be a businessman and getting hired or whatnot, a master's degree is more useful, but it's not always about getting the most success in life in the terms of professional success. It's about also adding a new layer of things to an old way of doing things. And if there's one major that could benefit from doing things in a new way, it would be civil engineering, since we're doing things almost the same way as we did in the 70s. It's tried and true. We're dealing with millions here. We don't want to innovate because millions are on the line. And I get that, but on the field of workers, like again, in an anthropology perspective, that's a very risk-free research, right? It's risk-free research. It only gives you positive results or no results at all. Sounds like a good thing to tackle, but again, like the perspective being limited, it does not get expanded upon. That's one example in a professional field. Another example, if you want, in a creative field, is let's say somebody's doing comics, right? Like they're into comics, they want to do comics, they're all about the comics, right? Me and my buddy Luis, from the Anime Law, you guys know us, we both concluded that if we're going to be good comic designers, we're going to need to write a proper story first, like novel. And the reason for that is the skills you get from writing a story would eventually, translate to the comic design as you write stories for that as well. If anything, it gives you a bigger perspective on things. So even though we want to do comics in particular, doing that thing, writing, would add to it. So even though we don't want to specialize in comics, as at least me, but let's say if you wanted to specialize, writing a novel is a good way to add to the speciality or the ability to specialize in comics, even though they're separate fields and the writing techniques for words are very different from the writing techniques of comics. It's still worth it, right? Knowing how film design is worked helps you with comics. Knowing how color theory works helps you making comics, even if you're going to do black and white, right? Idea is, just because you want to specialize in a field, say a particular video game, let's say strategy oriented, does not mean you can't look at other types of games and learn and benefit from them and even steal concepts from them to implement in your own thing. Like, I never understood that. Like, knowing history helps out with a lot of things. I know, because Even though I'm not majored in it, I read a lot and watch a lot of videos regarding history. Maybe it takes like 20% of my day dedicated to history videos or history related things. And sometimes it decreases, sometimes it decreases. That's basically the average is 20%, and that's a lot of my day, right? So why do I do that? Because it helps, right? It helps me specialize in the fields I want to specialize. But people, again, are too limited, both in perspective and in psyche, to actually see this. And that's the point I'm presenting here. Do not limit yourself to one field or another. Specialize and then expand from that, so you can specialize further and be better, right? Again, that's my 2 cents on the issue, and I'll see you on the next one.